Okay, welcome to Ideation. It's going to be a movie, approximately 15 minutes long, on the first section of this lecture. If you hear a alarm going off, that's just reminding me that 15 minutes is up. And there's no particular reason why doing it for 15 minutes, other than the fact that I want to give you guys a break. And 15 minutes seems like a good enough place to pause. Okay, so the objective of this course. Hold on for one sec here. The objective of this course is so at the end of it, you'll be able to create what is called a full-blown business opportunity. That's some of my language, and you'll hear about my language and also more about the full-blown business opportunity as we go on through the course. And second, be able to evaluate business opportunities. One thing that I want you to think about when you're in this course is, who are you? Where are you? Meaning, where are you in your studies? Where are you in your life? Where do you want to go in terms of your goals and objectives? And where are we taking you? Or where am I taking you? Where is this course taking you? Ideation, in my definition, is the opportunity development process. The opportunity development process. So it's not just coming up with a good business idea, but it's also developing that into a potential business opportunity. And we're going to talk more and more about that throughout the course. How much value have you created today? If you're not creating value, you're probably wasting your time and somebody else's money. So keep that at the forefront of your mind. Creating value. Now, we can talk about creating value for whom, and I'll tell you the answer is creating value for the owners, us, the entrepreneurs, as well as creating value for customers. And if we're good at creating value for customers, we will create value for ourselves, we will create value for the owners, and also we'll create value for society as well. Some look at things and ask why. Others look at things and ask why not. Well, which are you? Are you one of those folks that sit back and just ask why? Or do you say, why not? And which of those people do you think entrepreneurs are more likely to be? Those that ask why, or those that ask why not? This is the definition of entrepreneurship that I really want you to have. It's the process of coordinating resources to exploit or take advantage of opportunities that exist in the market or created by innovation in an attempt to create value. The process of coordinating resources to exploit opportunities or that exist in the marketplace or created through innovation in an attempt to create value. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that entrepreneurship can be about starting a new business, but it doesn't have to be. It can be about what takes place in a small business, but it can take place in a large business as well. It can take place in a new business, and it can take place in an old business. It's about coordinating resources to exploit opportunity that exist in the marketplace or created through innovation in an attempt to create value. Now, you notice here I didn't say in an attempt to make money. Okay, it's an attempt to create value. And value can be defined in many different ways. I primarily think about financial value, but you could talk about other social values as well. The definition is not necessarily about making profits, or it's about creating value. So it's equally applicable to businesses that are not-for-profit or non-profit. It also does not talk about resources. It doesn't say that you have to own the resources. You don't have to own the resources. All you have to do is be in the position to coordinate, manage those resources. And that opens up avenues that you can hardly imagine. If you don't actually have to own the resources, then your ability to actually engage in the entrepreneurial process becomes more likely if you don't have resources at your fingertips. So the venture creation process, ideation, planning, execution, and growth, or ideation, business model innovation, execution, and growth. We're going to be focusing on the ideation portion, the front portion of the venture creation process. Opportunity development. These are sort of the steps that we're going to go through in the course. The idea kernel, customer space, business model, market space, integration, and evaluating opportunities. Now, this opportunity development process is about experimenting, it's about testing, it's about learning, and it's about adapting as you engage with the customers, as you engage with the market. Now, this is not new per se, but a lot of people have been talking about this recently with Steve Blank and with Alexander Osterwalder, and also with Eric Ries and the Lean Startup, that book and whatnot. This is not new. We've been talking about this for a long time, okay? But it's come more to the forefront. And one thing that we need to think about when we're putting together a business is how do we, in a very inexpensive and relatively quick way, interact with the marketplace so we can learn, so we can find out what is actually working. Keep that in mind. That's a very important point. Also, the opportunity development process is not linear, but it's recursive and iterative. Recursive and iterative. What does that mean? Well, it basically means that there are lots of feedback loops. There are lots of times when you take a step or two forward and then you take one step back. But it's kind of hard to teach a process that's very recursive and lots of feedback loops. So we teach this process in a linear fashion, but keep in mind, lots of these processes are parallel, lots of them are iterative, and lots of them are recursive. Remember this, there are many inventions, but far fewer innovations. So what does that mean? Well, it means that an invention is a novel idea, but innovation is the commercialization or widespread use of that novel idea. Sweden, for example, as a country, is very good at invention. We're very good at creating things. We're near the top of the list in any international survey in our ability to create, and patent per capita and all of those sorts of things. However, our ability to innovate is not as great. Okay, is not as great, or at least we're not as well known for our ability to innovate. Okay, and you can look at countries such as China and Japan and Hong Kong and whatnot. In China, of course, take Japan for example. Japan has been very good, especially early on, post-World War II, at their ability to innovate. They weren't coming up with anything new. They were taking what existed and they were commercializing it. Maybe they were putting a twist on it with respect to miniaturization, whatever, but they were commercializing it. Later, they became more inventive. And the Chinese, again, they're producing, commercializing what already exists, but they now are spending lots and lots of money on research and development and are going to be very strong in their ability to invent as well as to innovate. So this idea kernel, what is the idea kernel? Again, this is my language, but an idea kernel is that nub of a business opportunity. It's that initial business idea, and it's actually the pre-opportunity. Okay, it's not the business opportunity, but it's the pre-opportunity. The idea kernel is the starting point for business opportunity and closely related to the market problem, the market need, and the market pain. And we'll get back to need, problem, pain probably today. but we certainly will get back to it throughout the course. Opportunity recognition. Okay. Oftentimes you'll see opportunity identification and opportunity selection very closely linked. In fact, often interchangeable. But I kind of like to separate opportunity identification and selection. Opportunity identification is when you kind of can see an opportunity. But opportunity selection is when you actually select that opportunity out from among a bunch of opportunities, out from among the environment. And those two things together, the identification and the selection, is how I define opportunity recognition. Preparing the mind. Now, this is really important. How do you prepare the mind? The mind is an amazing thing, especially with respect to coming up with new ideas, new innovations, new potential business opportunities. And if you prepare the mind, if you fill the mind with the right things, okay, you will be able to produce many, many idea kernels and many, many potential business opportunities. And what does that preparation really mean? It means filling your head with information related to the target market, related to the needs of the target market, related to the problems of the target market, relating to the problems and pain of that target market. What do? I read magazines of all types, men's magazines, women's magazines, all high-tech magazines, money magazines, all sorts of magazines in the areas that I have an interest in, potentially creating potential business ideas. And by reading the magazines and talking to people in these fields, I start to fill my head and try to get an understanding of the situation that the target market is in, whether it be the consumer end user market or the business-to-business market. And once I start understanding the situation that they're in, okay, I can be better able to potentially come up with what their needs are, what their problems are, and what their pains are. Now, this period of incubation is important as well, because you're filling your head with all of this information, but at the same time, you need to let the brain work. Now, the brain can work. It can multitask. It can work in the foreground. It can work in the background. But it's important to have this incubation time. Do you ever, think about you're working on a problem. You're working on a problem, and you're trying to think, and you can't make any headway. So what you do is you say, forget it, I'm going to go out for a run. So you put all your running clothes on, you get ready to go, and you forget about what you were thinking about before, and you hit the door, and as soon as you hit the door, you get a solution to that problem. And then you you don't have anything to write with, you don't have your phone, you don't have a piece of paper, and then you have to go back and try to figure out what to record this information on. Or you do the same thing, you take a shower, and you relax. And once you relax, all of these ideas start flowing. This period of incubation is important. It's very powerful in developing potential business opportunities. And in fact, it's a way you can put your brain on autopilot in terms of coming up with potential business opportunities. Intentional or eureka? This question is, which do you think prepares the best business opportunities? Intentional or eureka? Eureka is where, oh yes, the idea just comes to you. While intentional, you actually prepare and prep for the process of opportunity development. Let me give you this example. Let's say we divide the class, and we divide the class into two. We divide the class into one group who I provide pencils and papers and some coffee, and then I say, okay, use the Eureka strategy and come up with some potential business opportunities. And so what does that group do? The group just drinks coffee, daydreams, looks out the windows, and hopes that they get some business ideas. While the other group has a plan, they're prepared, they're going through a series of exercise, they're analyzing the market, and they are producing potential business opportunities. They're intentionally doing it. Now, which do you think will come up with better ideas? The people who are intentional in coming up with ideas, or the people who are random? The answer actually is that both ideas, both processes, are as equally successful to one another. Equally successful to one another. That was the 15 minutes. I'm going to just conclude this idea here, this thought before we stop. Let me say this again. Whether you come up with an intentional idea or it comes to you randomly, eureka, those ideas tend to be equally as good. The problem, though, is that eureka comes randomly. You can't plan for it. And also we know that it's a numbers game. So we need to be able to come up with lots and lots of ideas. The only way to do that is to be intentional about it. So we're learning this process to become intentional about creating potential business opportunities. And what will result in more business opportunities. And if we have more potential business opportunities, more idea kernels, we will have better ones. Because it's a numbers game, ultimately. Okay, so let's take a quick break here, and soon we'll come back with part 2.